broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing after shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Changes. Turn and face the strain. Changes. Wanna be a richer
Yes, this is the AFTERBUZZ TV show for... I can't even hear myself. Sorry about that. This is the AFTERBUZZ TV show for Gallivant, but since David Bowie died yesterday, and he was a huge influence, not just in music, but in the LGBT community, David Bowie... He's like one of these awesome figures who made it okay to be weird and made it okay to be different. And it feels just like a huge sadness has come across the world. And I would feel very super remiss if I didn't say something about it. It would be just weird. I'm your host, Jacque Borowski. With me, Susannah.
Hi, you guys. I'm Susannah Kim. You can find me on Twitter at Susannah_Kim.
And Blake.
And I'm Blake McIver. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Blake McIver.
I'm Michelle.
Hi, I'm Michelle Cullen. You can find me on Twitter at Michelle_Cullen.
And I'm at 123 Jackie_B. We are recapping first episode 3, season 2, episode 3, All Hail the King. I'd like to start with Richard and Gallivant, who are our new favorite duo. In that last episode, we noticed that Richard's castle was missing. And so they are now going in search of the castle, and they end up finding a town that Richard points out looks familiar, and it turns out it looks familiar because the people made it out of pieces of his castle. And then we have this great song about democracy, which I thought was just super fun. Matt Lucas plays like the main peasant who is explaining the democracy to him. He was in Bridesmaids, which is probably what most people know him for. I know him for playing Thénardier
In Les Mis, yes.
Les Mis.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad you said that.
Thank you for saying that.
Because I kept being like, and I mean, I liked Bridesmaids. I wasn't crazy about Bridesmaids, but I was like, why does this guy look familiar? Why does this guy look familiar? And I was reading the IMDb, and I was like, Bridesmaids, whatever. And then I was like, oh yeah, he was in Les Mis.
Les Mis 25.
Yeah, the 25th anniversary
so
Les
brilliant.
Mis, which is
so phenomenal.
Like my favorite. It's super awesome. So anyway, we have the song about democracy, and it was also funny because Richard has this moment where he's like, I guess they don't really need me. Like, I don't know what my point is in life. And also, they don't even recognize him.
Yeah.
They're like, Gallivant,
Right.
hey! And he's like, what about me? So then he has what is my favorite song of these 2 episodes, which is the sad, like, soul-searching song where he's like, I could be a blacksmith. I could be...
It was great. It was like such a nice, if I were a rich man, like
Yes.
homage, kind of.
Yes, it was. It really was. And it's interesting to me because I want to know what that structure is that he ended up sitting down on. It looked to me kind of like a theater set, which was super fun because you ultimately think of Richard as like the most theatrical character. So
Right.
you're like, you should just be an actor because that's what you are.
Right.
Yes.
That's funny.
And his sword ended up glowing at the end of the
That was
song.
exciting.
Yes.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to explain that a little more, but no.
We
It's
have
just some
nothing.
magic that came.
Yeah.
Just gonna pepper it in.
Yeah, right. Yeah. We'll
I guess
find out later.
we're gonna figure out what it means to be the one true king because right now he's the one true nothing. Because
Yeah. One true
He's the one true
useless
hipster.
person.
Yes.
That's what he is.
So
Dissatisfied and searching for purpose.
I also like how they point out that in their democracy, like they had this like laundry list of people who can't vote at that point.
That was amazing.
Yes. It includes gingers, which
Yep. Gotta include everyone that
there
is
was
in a
another
white male.
like bad ginger joke in there too, where I was like, they just don't like gingers.
Yeah,
They
something
just
about
don't.
like something weaved out of the hair of
Oh
all the
yeah,
redheads
yeah,
in the town or something.
yes, in his sheets that then they use as
He plucked the red hairs from every ginger in the
Yeah.
land
Yes.
to make the ours.
Yeah.
I mean,
Awesome.
what does Alan Menken have against redheads? Little Mermaid was a redhead,
Maybe
for heaven's
he's
sake.
just really good
Ever
about
since
it.
Ariel, he's like, no more.
Right,
That's
yeah.
it.
I did enjoy the line that it was progressive for the Middle Ages. That
Right.
kind
Yes.
of tossed aside by Gallivant. Like, you know what? It is.
Yeah.
It is. I accept that.
I also this is it's always my argument against England's monarchy because they're still paying money to upkeep these people's lifestyle, and you're like, why? Not that I don't think like William and Kate are adorable and whatnot, but it's like, why? Why would you do that? Your taxes go to pay for that. And Matt Lucas's character, who I just have been calling like the head townsman or head servant or whatever.
Peasant number one.
Peasant number one. And if you know his name, please feel free to like comment or tweet at us and let us know. But I actually like didn't see it or recall it or couldn't figure out if they said it at all.
I read an article that his name is John, but I can't remember if it's Peasant John or Townsman John or I forget
Good old John.
what
Good
the
old
first
John.
Right,
How
John.
how English.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
But it's funny that they make this point that it's like, well, what is a king anyway? It's just like one man wearing this hat that came down from another guy that is like from this like royal family, and then Richard said that his family was descended from like something in a mermaid. It was-
Gods and a mermaid,
yes.
Gods and a
and a
mermaid.
mermaid. Amazing.
which can only end well.
Exactly. So then we have Isabella, and she is at the beginning she's still protesting her wedding, and she's meeting with the wedding planner, who is Mr. Wormwood. And Mr. Wormwood has this funny aside with this new character whose name I also forget, but I think he's going to be he's been doing some interviews around, so I think he's going to be in future episodes.
Okay.
His like henchman, his number one guy, and they have this like funny exchange, and then Mr. Wormwood has magically what is the word I'm looking for? What
Enchanted.
He did, enchanted.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for. He's magically enchanted this crown that he puts on her head, and now she thinks everything is wonderful, and he's going to somehow use that influence to take over the kingdom. And then we have that one funny scene where she's dancing with the king, who's in like a baby Bjorn on
Oh my gosh, that was
Jester's back.
hilarious. Just fantastic.
I love the jester's role.
I just love the jester.
Especially, I would be remiss if I didn't mention it because it was one of my favorite scenes where she was like, play it again, and it was the jester with the little marionette dolls.
Reenacting.
Breakup scene just over and over again. I'm like, are you sure this is healthy?
Yeah.
Do it again.
And eating her like hand-cut marshmallows with her big snuggly blanket. I was like, yes, honey, been there.
It
We all
reminded me.
feel
It
it.
reminded me of that scene in Legally Blonde.
Yes! Right after the
they
breakup.
and she's like throwing the chocolate
At the TV.
So funny.
It was awesome.
And she did such a good, Karen David, she did such a good job playing, just crazy pretty much, just like playing all like colors of the spectrum. She was bright and bubbly and happy, when she was enchanted. And then of course, like, in the beginning we got her how she normally was, just like very against everything. And yeah, I love seeing all the colors from her. She's so talented.
Yeah.
She is talented. I feel like this whole cast to me is talented. They have good comedic timing, which is a bummer for it not to be recognized as much as I feel like it should be. And then in the end of this episode, Gareth, we find out, has been having bad dreams.
Poor Gareth.
He's been
Going through it.
I love this interaction between him and Sid, where he's like, what could this mean? And he's acting like it's a super veiled thing, and he's like, the king, I stabbed him in the back, and he's like, I think you're feeling guilty. And
Yeah, it's like, that's
No.
not a thing.
that's not a thing.
No,
Yeah.
not real.
Couldn't be that.
Which I thought was hilarious. And then Sid helps him get to bed by doing this like pulling of the
That was so
I
precious.
loved that.
With his little lullaby that his mother taught him.
Yes.
It was hysterical.
I thought at first that Gareth was going to hit him, and then
Me
he was like,
too.
there's one more. It was the most precious thing.
Yeah,
for
you
two
couldn't
grown-ups.
tell for a second if he was just going to sock him in the face, because it seems like his reaction. Yeah. Oh,
And these
so
two
sweet.
episodes, we really get to see our quote-unquote bad guys be super vulnerable. We get to
Oh,
see
yes.
what makes them super vulnerable. And so in episode 4... I guess I put Madalena's roast as last, but since we're talking about Gareth and Madalena, they do, I know I said this in the last episode, I was like, I do like their little chemistry romance thing they've got going on, and Madalena is invited to a roast, and she's obsessing over her earrings, and we learn that these two women who are hosting the roast, they like taunted her when she was little, and she wanted to be one of them, and she tried to get into their carriage when they beckoned to her, and they like scooted along, and she couldn't get in, and so she just wanted to be one of the mean girls.
Mean girls of the Middle Ages.
Yeah, and so she grew up to be a mean girl, and she was invited to their roast, and she's thinking here it's like a big meal, and it's actually a comedy roast of her.
So rough.
I know, and
I
then
wasn't expecting that at all.
And then I wasn't expecting that at all either. Which I was expecting her to kind of like bond with them or something, but it turns out on a sadder note where like she feels super bummed out that they roasted her, and she ends up having to walk home because the carriage does the same thing where it skips ahead and won't let her in, and
She's like, of course.
And so she has this really like beautiful melancholy song about how she's feeling feelings for the first time.
Yeah, it was a really pretty melody.
Yeah,
I was
it
like,
was.
oh,
So
that's
good.
one of his better melodies this
Yeah.
I
season.
thought so too.
It got deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was nice to have Madalena sing it because last season Madalena's songs, for whatever reason, didn't strike a chord with me. Like I just didn't enjoy them, and even I know they had that big number with the mirrors and everything, and it just didn't hit me. I don't know, but this song really struck with me, and I like that we have Gareth coming in and bringing her the severed ears with the earrings.
Yep.
So sweet.
Of the women, yeah.
And of course, she
meant
likes
well.
it better with the ears on them.
Right. It's so perfect for their romance.
Absolutely.
It's perfect.
It is. I thought it was a sweet moment compared to what we saw last week where they were at each other's throats and throwing things away. Now he's giving her a gift and she says she likes it. And
Well, they're like the Liz Taylor and Richard Burton of the medieval
Yes.
world.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's a perfect comparison. I mean, kind of cruel to Richard Burton, but yes.
I don't actually think Liz Taylor or Richard Burton was that dumb, but
No, but
I meant
a good comparison.
relationship dynamic wise.
Totally. That's hilarious.
Speaking of romance, we have the chef and Gwyn, and we have this scene where the chef starts throwing out copious amounts of food, and Gwyn cannot handle it. I could not handle it.
no, it hurt my heart.
I was
upsetting.
watching that, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm not a very good cook, so whenever I see really good food, I'm like, I must eat that, and you can't squander that. And
Right.
so when I saw them throwing that away, I was like, I could eat that. And so Gwen had the same reaction.
Yep.
And Chef is like, no, we're big pimpin' now. And they have this whole song about how their life has changed, and it turns out like she's not able to handle it, and he says this sweet thing where he's saying, okay, well, I don't want to live with all this if I can't have you. And so they decide to leave together, which that I don't know, it seemed rather weird to me that it just happened so abruptly. I was like, okay, this was clearly just a vehicle to get them out of
This
there.
was a plot device for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Yep.
As cute as the number was, I was like, I don't buy it.
No, exactly.
I don't buy it.
Exactly. That's exactly how I felt. I was like, because you would think from the characterization we've gotten from them thus far that they would both be super anxious, not just Gwyn, but both of them would be super anxious because, I mean, the chef was treated horribly by Richard.
Oh yeah. And Madalena.
Yeah, so you would think that they would both be super anxious, especially because the chef had been super anxious up until this point. So you're like, I don't understand why all of a sudden he's like, oh, now I'm big pimpin'. It's like, what? Like,
Right.
it seemed to come from nowhere. And it was clearly just a vehicle to
Yeah.
get them out of there so we can have them encounter some other character along
And I
the
was
way.
kind of still falsely under the impression that they were all sort of being still, even though they're living large, being held captive in this
Yes.
land. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't think you could just walk out the front door.
Right?
And are you getting paid for your cooking? Or, you know?
Because Isabella's parents can't leave, and they're still royal. So
Yeah.
why would the chef and Gwyn just be able to just saunter out of this desert palace?
Yeah.
And where are they going to go?
Yeah.
It's not exactly, you can't exactly just go to the shipyard.
They got stuff to do, places to go. I like how it started though, how she's in the drawer.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
She's
did
like, I'm not
that.
sleeping in a bed where you give birth or die or both.
At the same time.
Yeah, right.
Deep.
So I want to take a little break and do some shout outs.
Oh.
We have a couple people commented on YouTube. I want to shout out to Gus Fadden, and apologies if I don't pronounce these right. You're free to like tell me how to actually pronounce them. I know my name is not super easy to pronounce. But he pointed out that the chef picked up the shards of the amulet that she threw down. So
Oh, good observation.
hopefully that'll come into play with them leaving and everything. Shout out to the other people who commented: Andrea, Cherish42, Shibasa, Marco Polo 310, PTL 2007, and then shout out to our recent iTunes commenters: Battlegirl Deb, Lana Vase, and Melissa D. Arnold. And if you guys comment on iTunes or YouTube, I'll give you a shout out.
Awesome.
So, yay.
And we also had some of the writers from Gallivant watching our after show.
We
and
did.
They tweeted,
We
us.
did.
That
Tweeted us.
was
It was very
amazing.
exciting.
Seeing some of our predictions might be right, which we saw
Yes.
Madalena, you know, kind of softening up. So
Yeah.
that was awesome.
And the stone of Valencia.
Oh,
God.
yes,
What
the
is
Jewel
it?
of Valencia
The Jewel of
is
Valencia came
back.
back.
Yes.
We were so
I mean-
angry last week.
Yeah,
about that.
So mad.
They heard it.
So mad. And then, boom. I wish that I could secret everything in my life like that.
Yeah.
It was like that. It really was. Even if it came from Richard's butt.
I mean,
Well,
okay,
first
can we
his
talk about
mouth.
him ingesting it?
Yes.
First his mouth.
I love that whole scene where he's trying to explain what happened, and Gallivant is like, but it's real. But how?
But he does tell, what's her name? Our ginger girl?
Bobby.
Oh,
Bobby. We haven't gotten into her
Roberta.
yet, but he does tell her that he can still fit his whole fist in
Yes!
his mouth. So, just saying.
I love
Just
that
saying.
he correlated that.
Yes.
Awesome.
I mean, it's about, we've held the Jewel of Valencia. It's
Yeah.
about the size of a
It is about the size of a
Held it
fist.
before
Yes.
this situation.
Right.
Well, I mean.
We held
I-
it pre-poo. We held it pre-poo.
Oh, yes. Oh, before it had gone on that journey.
Yes. Before it had gone on that journey.
Full journey.
So we have Gallivant and Richard. The town decides to have, okay, I have to find my note on this because Gallivant and Richard realize that because it's a democracy, they're going to have to appeal to the people for whether or not like the people are willing to be their army, essentially. And Matt Lucas is John, the John character. He goes, I can't imagine a free people ever voting to send an army into an open-ended foreign conflict which profits only the few. That would be madness.
Shade, but yes.
Yes.
But true. If you don't know what we're referring to, I'm going to say it Ricky Gervais style. We're referring to the war in Iraq.
Oh, is that what we were talking about?
I don't know. I was a traitor and watched the Golden Globes, and Ricky Gervais made a joke about sticking his Golden Globe up his ass.
He absolutely did.
Yeah.
He absolutely did.
But then I watched Galavant so it could get the plus 72 or whatever it is.
Right.
If you watch the episodes within the span, I think it's of like 2 or 3 days of when it airs, they still get some sort of points that count towards ratings.
Good to know.
Yeah. So I mean, if you're ever torn between two shows and you're like, but I still want to give this show some ratings, you can still do it within the plus. I can't remember if it's 2 or 3 days. You guys will have to let me know.
I believe it's 3.
It's 3.
There we
Thank
go.
you.
Nice.
There you go. The plus 3. So Gallivant and Richard are up and in front of the newly liberated peasants, I suppose. They're in
Yes.
front of the
Like a town hall meeting
in
almost.
front of the
It's a
town
town hall,
hall, yeah.
which was
In the rec
hilarious.
center.
Yes, in the rec center. And Richard has that funny joke about how the part of the town trunk has already been taken because Gallivant says he's drunk, and he's like, I couldn't be that. It's already been taken.
He's over there.
Just puking into his little whatever.
Basket.
Yeah. So Gallivant gets up and makes this speech, and Richard then kindly goes up to like help him and be like, fight for true love, come fight for true love. And the people aren't having it except for Bobby. And Bobby decides to go with him, and Bobby manages to like steal some horses. I think it was like they stole horses and like burned something down.
They burned the rec center.
They burned the rec center down.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it wasn't that cute to begin with.
No.
Right.
So then they go to basically, for Game of Thrones watchers, they go to Craster's Keep, aka they go to this hut where they talk to a guy about trying to get his army, and they've made a deal, and Richard says, I can't believe that you didn't just like kill us and steal the jewel anyway. And so then they start a fight, and in the middle of the fight, Richard learns that Bobby is the childhood friend that his parents basically hired to be his friends.
Paid to play with him.
Yes.
Bless.
And I can't remember what the age difference was. It was something like
It was
where
like
he was
7
like
to 13.
Yeah, it was like they
Yeah.
were like 6 years apart or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, you look 6 years apart.
Yeah, that's okay. I think Tim Omundson is like a cute guy.
I love him.
I
Oh,
think he's a
definitely.
cute
Oh my
guy.
God, I
Oh,
love
he's very
him.
attractive.
His beard
Yes.
is glorious.
Yes.
Everything about him.
It like curls at the end and everything.
Yes.
He's magnificent.
Timothy.
It doesn't matter that
Timothy.
she's younger. I see why she has a crush on him.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
So they're all in the woods, and they're talking, and Gallivant decides, he's like, I need to get rid of Richard, and Richard's like, I'm your new sidekick. And they decide to go to a candlelit restaurant, which is basically everywhere. It's the Middle Ages.
I mean,
That was
you know.
beautiful.
We love Middle Ages jokes, guys. It's Gallivant.
It
You gotta
is.
have
It
them.
is.
You
Yeah.
need them.
So they go to the restaurant, and they have what I thought was another super cute number where Gallivant has to like obviously sing to Richard what he should or should not be doing.
He's basically doing his kiss the girl moment.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It's like,
Yes, exactly.
Don't die
and
alone.
Don't die alone.
Only significantly more obvious than
oh yes,
Sebastian.
Yeah.
much more on the nose.
I love it when he hands him the rose, and Richard's like, "Oh, this is delightful," and then he's like, "No."
Yeah.
Give it.
Redirect.
Still ineffective. Still didn't get much from that.
Yeah, mostly because Richard set himself on fire, and then
Did he set his sleeve on fire or his beard?
I think it was the beard.
Yeah, I think it was
that's
glorious
terrifying.
beard.
That glorious beard.
glorious beard. Don't ruin the beard.
I should have watched the credits to see if any beards were harmed in the making.
Oh, Richard himself was kind of a beard for a while. Anyway,
Yup. Yup.
remember last episode, guys?
It all ties in.
It all ties in. So then afterwards they have a conversation where Richard was like, they were trying to set us up. Oh, how preposterous that is. We're only friends. And we know, I guess this is kind of a spoiler, but like I feel like the spoilers are obvious because we know that they're trying to set up Richard and Bobby.
Right.
And
Spoiler alert!
Oh,
Spoiler
goodness.
alert!
I was like, oh gosh.
Ready to go.
Yeah, I was like, is that an evacuation?
I said something wrong. Yes, so they're trying to get some sort of romance together for Richard. I assume it's going to be Bobby because the actress has on IMDb has credits for all of the episodes this season.
Nice.
Wow.
Sorry if I spoiled something for you, but it's pretty obvious.
That's all right.
Yeah, I'm for it. She's cute.
Yeah.
She's adorable.
She's really
Yeah,
cute.
I would really. She actually was one of the factory women in Les Mis.
Oh, in the movie?
Yeah,
Oh,
in the
cool.
movie Les Mis.
That's cool.
Because I was looking for her credits, and we know that at some point she's going to have to sing.
Oh, yes.
And so I was like, okay, I wonder what she's been in. So she was one of the factory women in Les Mis. And then a bunch of other stuff I didn't recognize. Sorry. But she actually doesn't have a very, she could have done tons of stage stuff, but she doesn't have a
Right.
very extensive television and film
Gotcha.
credit list. Her name is Claire Foster, and she's adorable.
Claire Foster. Yeah.
I really like her character. I really
Oh,
like
yeah.
her.
Yeah.
It's great.
I like that she has a cute like schoolgirl crush on him. I like that she's like kind of swashbuckling.
She can fight.
Yeah. I like her character. I'm really excited about her character. So out of all the songs, I have a list of the songs right here. We have the first one, which is Build a New Tomorrow. Then we have the Jolly Blacksmith song. And it bums me out because not all of the songs are on iTunes. So then I'm like, I can't get all of them. We have the Chef and Gwyn song. The What Am I Feeling, which was Madalena's song, Madalena's song to Gareth. Or to herself, I guess, and then Gareth came in. Gallivant's Table Serenade, I called it. Maybe You Won't Die Alone. So out of all those, and I guess we can include Sid's Lullaby. What was your favorite song this episode?
I think Madalena's song takes the cake for me.
Yeah, me too.
I loved it because it was like legitimately good. Like if I heard that song in a musical, like motivated correctly, I would be like, yeah, I totally buy this in a Broadway
I agree
show.
with that.
Yes,
Completely.
totally agree.
I think for entertainment value, I really, really loved the Build a Better Tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Build a New Tomorrow.
Yeah.
It started out kind of like, okay, democracy. It's a democracy song. I'm listening to Kimya Johnson right now, which is a lot, which is cool. And then they started, singling people out and saying, except for these people.
I remember that.
Excluding
And I was like,
everybody.
and it is a Kimya Johnson song. Dawson song. Excuse me.
I think I would have to say Madalena's song "What Am I Feeling" and tied with the Jolly Blacksmith song, just because Richard's
That was great.
sad song about what the things he could do and
couldn't do.
and how misguided he was about how things happen. Like the blacksmith would put the thing with the other thing and make another thing.
Just completely uninformed on every trade.
And how beer is made out of grapes.
Yeah.
You stomp them and peel them.
Yes. I love stuff like that. Before we go into news and gossip, do you guys have any other comments, thoughts on the episode?
I'm just hoping, I wish, because I feel like the show is so like geared towards like the Broadway audience, I wish we would get more like American Broadway actors. I just feel like it would just like be chicken soup for the soul to see like Megan Hilty or Dina Menzel or
Sutton
like,
Foster.
Yeah, just any of those, just to get them on there. I think that would be great for the show, and just because like this is our opportunity. Unlike shows like Empire or Nashville, they're like musical shows, but this is us being able to see like our musical theater actors like in their craft, and on TV. And like when do we ever get I was telling them earlier, I was like, I feel like I should be paying to see this show sometimes, because theater shows are expensive, and this is quality work. Like, they're busting their chops, all the choreography, it's so good. So I would love to see some of, our actors that we see like on our Broadway shows on the show.
I think
that'd be
though,
so great.
just to be devil's advocate, I think that because this show is so loaded with Brits, even though Timothy Omundson is not a Brit, which is hilarious to me because
That is funny.
he is super fabulous, and he reads as so British.
Totally.
He reads as so British, and he's not. But the show is so loaded with Brits and has such a Monty Python undertone.
Right.
I think they're also... It's weird because it's like it's shown on a U.S. network to a U.S. audience, but they're trying to pull in that Monty Python audience by having all these like old, well-known British actors from British television series and British musicals, hoping that they'll draw it in. But you're right; it's like it's weird because you're not playing this on the BBC; you're playing it to an audience that might not necessarily know the British actors.
And it's just our opportunity to see these actors that we love be on stage almost, and on TV and have that easy access to it. So, yeah, I would just love to see that.
This actually goes into my news and gossip.
AfterBuzz TV News.
So I was reading Broadway World because there's only, as much as you read about Gallivant, most of what you read about the actors are actors plugging the show or actors recaps, and they've been, I think, Timothy and... oh my gosh, the girl who plays Karen David. They went on Good Morning America recently and sang some songs. So you can always see the actors plugging it, and it's like there's not a lot of other outside information about the show because it's a limited series. So I went on Broadway World because I know that people who watch this, they're either like Monty Python fans or they're old school musical fans.
And
This
Broadway
year,
World is the best place for gossip.
it's not actual gossip.
No, it
This
is.
literally just news. But it's the 20th anniversary of Rent this year, And if you guys want to see what influenced Hamilton for real, throwing a little shade. I mean, I'm not going to go into why I don't think Hamilton is the most revolutionary musical of all time, but
It just got chilly in here.
Yeah.
Where's my scarf?
But if you want to have a conversation with me outside of AfterBuzz about why Hamilton is not the most revolutionary American musical of all time, maybe you should look at Rent. Hamilton, to me, is heavily influenced by Rent. And I went, Broadway World is having 20 days of Rent. Oh, nice. So they're showing all kinds of old clips of the original Rent cast. And then I went back and got super nostalgic and started watching old clips of the original Rent cast. And I was first like, oh my gosh, how young were they? Idina Menzel had like a big curly bouffant.
Giant Jufro.
Yeah, and
she did.
Essentially, yes. And she had the lip liner.
She said it.
Yeah, she had lip liner and everything. And it's interesting too because if you watch the movie, which came out many years later and had
3 decades later, it feels like.
and had a lot of the original cast members, you're like, holy crap,
You mean that-
they were super young.
That movie musical Mortgage, is that what you're referring to?
Yes. Yes. Yes, exactly. Because I was looking at them and I was like, I forgot how young they were when they started doing this.
Totally.
And they look so different than they do in the movie. For those of them that are the original cast, they're not all the original cast. And I don't mean to completely shade Hamilton. There are clearly good numbers and good singers and good actors that are in it. I just feel like we didn't give its proper nod to what came before it. And then also there's a cabaret. I love cabaret. There's a tour of cabaret going around the U.S. this year. So LA is one of the cities it's stopping in, but if you just Google it, I'm sure you'll find the other cities it stops in. The ratings for Gallivant dropped in these 2 episodes. The Golden Globes were going on.
That's true. That's tough.
They haven't done the +3 ratings yet, so hopefully that will make it bring back up because it is tough to come against the Golden Globes. And they even referenced it in their intro song. They did. And then it looked like from an article I sent around to you guys earlier that somebody did confirm the relationship with Kylie and the guy who plays Gallivant. So
Joshua
it looks
Sasse.
like it's confirmed. And then of course I went on and read more super rumors where it was like they're engaged, they're gonna be married, because that's what you do when you go into a hole of rumors.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
But what's the fun in not going through that whole
Yeah, you have to
wormhole?
keep
You
going,
have to.
and you have to
Yes.
read like the neighbor's third friend's dog saw them walking down a path.
I mean, if you don't end a rumor mill journey with questioning whether or not the moon landing happened, like you didn't
Yeah, you did not do it
exactly.
properly. That is
Exactly.
so well said.
And we have the right excuse. It's because we're on AfterBuzz, so we have to look at this stuff.
Absolutely.
It's for you
our
guys.
job.
So you're
did
welcome.
I did it in the name of research for you. I did it for you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Okay, and this is like actual spoilers, so yeah.
Spoiler alert!
I read that, and I don't actually know if this is true because in the article I sent you, I was like, I can't tell if this is a joke or actually true because it's Gallivant, but I heard that Richard is going to do a love song with a zombie army backup.
Oh.
And it was in this article that said like 6 things to look forward to in Gallivant, and most of them were just dead obvious. It was stuff we know, like Richard is going on a self journey, and it's like, duh, we know that.
Yeah. Well, maybe the only army he can find is a zombie army.
I know,
He
wouldn't
can't
that
find
be-
any living fighters.
Hey, magic,
I'm really excited if that's true. I'm really excited if that's
I'm
true.
open to it.
It's all the knights from King Arthur's court. That's the only thing that matters about that sword. It's like it's the sword in the stone, and they're all dead. So
There you
they're just
go.
like,
And then it's an
Maybe-
homage to Michael Jackson.
like
Maybe-
a thriller.
Yep.
Yes.
Right.
Maybe that sword, maybe this is another Game of Thrones reference. I know you, Gallivant, and I know you like your Game of Thrones references. So I feel like maybe the sword will be used to raise like the dead, like a dead
all the White
zombie
Walkers
army,
come
like
out.
White Walkers.
Imagine. Oh my gosh.
And Hortensia does look scarily like the Red Keep, which is the main castle in, for those of you not watching Game of Thrones, it's the main castle in Game of Thrones, and it looks very eerily like that set. So
Interesting.
just putting
It does
that
sort of
out.
have that like geometric thing going on.
It's
a
like-
stacked castle.
Yeah, and it's like sandy brown like the Red Keep.
Yeah.
And then it does have like it's like on a hill and stacked.
Stair step, yeah.
I think they shoot in real castles, right? In England, I think I saw.
And they shot all the desert stuff in Morocco this season because Karen
They
David
might have actually shot at the Red Keep then, because
They might have.
Because Game of Thrones shoots in Morocco. I don't actually, and this is like, if you're a rabid Game of Thrones fan, you probably know where the actual like shooting of the Red Keep is, but they do shoot Game of Thrones in Morocco and England and a bunch of other countries.
I just remember Karen David tweeting while they were filming from on set in Morocco.
There you go. There you go. Maybe it's the actual set. Anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. You can find me, my Twitter, my Instagram, my blog. It's all at 123jackieb.com. Susannah, where can I find you?
Yes, you can find me on Twitter at Susannah_Kim, on Instagram at Susannah Kim.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Blake McIver.
You can find me on Twitter at Michelle_Cullen.
Oh, and my web series, Words, Wine, Women, we just released another video, and we're discussing gender-neutral toys.
Yes.
So,
I love that.
Check that out. Check it out.
Awesome.
Okay, thanks, everybody. See you next week. Bye. Bye. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.